How to read a book a week. Here's Professor Jim's advice on reading nonfiction with a few additions of my own. One, start with the author who wrote the book. Read his or her bio. If you can find a brief interview or article online about the author, read that quickly. It will give you a sense of the person's bias and perspective. To read the title, the subtitle, the front flap, and the table of contents. What's big picture argument of the books? How is does argument laid out? By now, you could probably describe the main idea of the book to someone who hasn't read it. 3. Read the introduction and the conclusion. The author makes their case in the opening and closing argument of the book. Read these two sections word for word but quickly. You already have a general sense of where the author is going, and the section will tell you how they plan to get there, introduction, and what they hope you got of it, conclusion. 4. Read skip each chapter. Read the title and anywhere from the first few paragraphs of the first few pages of the chapter to figure out how the author is using this chapter and where it fits into the argument of the book. Then skim throughout the heading and subheading if there are any to get a feel for the flow. Read the first sentence of each paragraph and the last if you get the meaning. Move on. Otherwise, you may want to read the whole paragraph. Once you've gotten an understanding of the chapter, you may be able to skim over whole page, as the argument may be clear to you and also may repeat itself. 5. And with the table of contents again. Once you finish the book, return to the book of content and summarize it in your head. Take a few moments to relive the flow of the book, the arguments you consider, the stories you remember, the journey you went on with the author. Throughout my reading, I take notes in preparation for my conversation with the author. Where do I agree? Where do I disagree? What questions are still simmering? What might I want to discuss with others or think more about in the coming days? These notes are a good idea for every reader to take. Here's the interesting thing about reading a book like this. Why it's much faster than a traditional reading. It, it takes me 1 2 hours to read a book instead of the usual 6 to 8. You will retain far more. That's because you are not simply reading the material. You are actively engaging with it. Your mind is alert the whole time and you are able to see the book more holistically. You are not just taking it in, you figure it out. When I started my podcast, it was with the intention of giving people spectators seats to conversations I was having with my thoughtful people about their passion, learnings, and perspectives. What took me a little by surprise is how much we already have access to those people simply by reading them. Yes, I am enriched by these conversations, but 90% of that is because I have read what the author has written. We can all read books and listen to postcard conversation with smart, thoughtful people. We can all have access to great ideas and apply them to our lives. In other words, with a little effort, we can